Now with more is Illinois Congressman Mike Quigley. Good evening. Thank you for being with us.
Good evening. Thank you.
Your fellow Democrats were briefed by the White House today. What did you learn about those alleged bounties placed on the lives of U.S. forces, as well as the timeline and a possible response from the White House?
I think what's most concerning about the timeline is the fact that this was taking place just about the time that the president was really keen on bringing back Russia into the G7 and make it the G8 again. I traveled with President Obama to the G7 when it was in Germany in 2015. There were 8 houses that we used to keep the heads of state. The 8th one was used as a meeting place because President Putin had been kicked out for annexing Crimea. There was a reason for that, and that concerns me. This comes down to 2 points. Either the president wasn't briefed, which I find hard to believe, and he did nothing, or he was briefed and he did nothing. Those are of great concern to me. The only reason he would not have been briefed is there are people in the White House who are afraid to speak truth to power because the President of the United States doesn't want to hear bad news. That makes our country less safe. It certainly makes our troops less safe.
Congressman Quigley, you heard your colleague, Representative Adam Kinzinger, say, what is the response for the White House? What will be the response for the White House? Regardless of what the response will be, what are lawmakers going to do about this? It seems to be proven that this is happening, that he was briefed back in February about it. Now what?
Sure. Chairman Schiff has asked for a full and complete classified briefing to my committee, the House Select Committee on Intelligence. I anticipate that will happen very soon. What the president should be doing, and I think Congress should force the issue, is talking about sanctioning Russia and bringing the worldwide views against this, the Putin administration for these acts. I believe the story is accurate. I can't talk about what we were briefed or were not briefed, but I think the totality of circumstances and all that I know, it is accurate. We are at risk. Our troops are at risk. The president and Congress needs to act. Unfortunately, I think in this case, Congress will again have to force the issue.
We want to get to a couple other issues with you tonight, Congressman Quigley. Let's talk about COVID. Dr. Fauci testified before Congress today. How concerned are you that even though Illinois has seen a dramatic decline in deaths and cases are relatively flat, though increasing a little bit, that we could go all through this again as other hot spots emerge across the country?
You know, I think it was a fool's game to imagine that this was going to be over until there was a vaccine. And even then, there's no guarantee the vaccine will be fully effective. The bottom line is what Dr. Fauci and experts are saying still is what's more important. We have to keep physically distancing, we have to wear masks, we have to wash our hands, and we have to act responsibly. The mistake here, I think, among some was thinking this was an economic crisis and they had to open up to end that crisis. This is a public health crisis, and until we get it under control, that economic crisis will be with us. So the fact is, the House passed the HEROES Act about 3 weeks ago now that includes $75 billion for tracing, testing, and treatment. That money is needed. The money that's been allocated so far to help those under economic peril because of the virus is going to run out. So we need to act on both. We have to do it on a bipartisan, bicameral basis.
Congressman, a lot of people are saying that this pandemic has become political. How can a health pandemic become political?
Because people have a disregard for science. Look, there's no other person to look to as a leader of the country. This is about a time of leadership. It shouldn't have been a time when we began this crisis, when the President of the United States said it was a hoax. It was an attack on his presidency, and it could magically go away. I walked into one of the first briefings in the Congressional Auditorium with the CDC, and they were handing out flyers that told us exactly what I just said, right, what we have to do. And as I was walking in, CNN was reporting the president was saying just what I said. If you get sick, you could probably go to work, and you can certainly fly. So we began at the wrong spot. So it became political at the beginning. It doesn't have to continue that way. We can act together and act responsibly. There should have been a coordinated effort across the country with the realization that the virus isn't partisan. The virus is coming after you if you act irresponsibly.
Congressman Mike Quigley, Democrat from Chicago, we appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
Still ahead, Chicago could be one of the final